got cocktail time, we've got casino night, we've got all kinds of time to be able to talk and in that. And I hope that you guys will be open to asking or answering some questions in that, because the biggest resource in the room are the people in the room. So that's a wonderful thing to do. I'm glad to be part of this this whole thing. So let's kind of get started. I'm gonna try to figure out how we do the clicker and the timing and everything. So you guys, the AV guys are great here, so they're going to help me out. The format for this session is we'll have that video, and here we are. I do have a screen user, Jim Freeby from Lithotone, and Jim, again, thanks for coming. We had a very interesting conversation a couple of days ago about all of this. You have a really unique story.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because mine starts with my grandfather also. My grandfather was the one of the very first lithographic pressmen at R.R. Donnelley in Chicago. He got tired of his kids playing ball in the streets, so took a job with a small company in South Bend, Indiana in the early 30s. Then the Depression hit. And he had to pack my dad in the car, drove to Chicago, sat down with his brother, and his brother walked into his bedroom, came out with a pocket or an envelope full of cash, handed it to my grandfather. My grandfather walked my dad to the car and he said, "Ken, I've got a life-changing amount of money in this pocket. I got a gun here. If anything happens to this, you shoot whoever tries to take it." So
1930s.
Yeah, in the 30s.
Okay. Yep.
So my grandfather then worked his way up to number 2 at this company, and my father then started Lithotone in 1962. They were all printers. So I'll never forget sitting at later in the years, in the 1970s, I was working on the end of a web press. And you have to think about my grandfather. And at this point, he's standing looking at this press, and he's in complete amazement. Printing 4 colors, both sides, drying, folding, and I'm taking off the end of the web at 25,000 impressions an hour. And my grandfather, I said, "Grandpa, what's wrong? What's wrong, Grandpa?" And he said, "My boy, if you could only see this through my eyes." And I never, ever really figured that, but I'm in a situation now that all the changes that my grandfather saw in his entire lifetime is literally dwarfed by what we see in 5 to 10 years today. So it's just it's been an amazing thing for our company, and to have a patriarch like my grandfather is something that I'm very proud of.
That is cool. We had the story when we talked on the phone was probably about 5 minutes longer than that. This was the Reader's Digest version, but it was really neat. And I thought it was interesting when Dean was talking in his talk just ahead of this, in Marco's thing, he talked about the history and the long history of screen and way back, 75 years and that. So history seems to be kind of a theme in this discussion. You have a unique piece of history in that you had the claim to fame to have the number 1 digital label press out of screen. And series number 1. Tell us a little bit about that and about the leap of faith it took to get into that, and how Screen kind of stepped up to the plate and hit a home run with you.
Yeah, it's funny because I got to be really good friends with our salesman, Scott Buchholz. God rest his soul, just passed away not long ago. Scott and I talked all the time. We went to shows together, and Screen knew that we were very progressive. We were a very progressive company, and we were always willing to listen to harebrained ideas. They brought the press to us, and we saw in Elkhart, Indiana, there's a lot of RVs. And we saw an underutilized area that we could actually take a digital press and do some things that would really put us out front. So we took the leap of faith to buy the label press and literally worked on this product that we thought was a home run for 3 years. It never really got to where we want it to be, but in the meantime, we became a label printer. We had the ability to take a piece of equipment that was very flexible, and it could do much more than just what we were hoping it would do. It actually pushed us into being a label printer at the same time.
Okay. And again, this part of the conversation was long because you said something about having to kill people if you told them about what you were doing. So I'm glad you didn't have to bring the gun with you. And
it's a recurring theme with my family.
So if this recording is going, we can't have this go as evidence or in a thing and moving down. Anyway, so tell us about a little bit. I want to explore a little bit more that how early you were with the 350, with the Screen 350, a brand new press coming into a new market for them, pretty much on the digital side. There were bound to be hiccups.
Yeah, there were a lot of hiccups with it, and there were things that we had to figure out. But I think what amazes me most about with Screen and the screen printing press that we have is, back in the day, you bring in an HP Indigo, and they'd make you buy two, because you didn't know if it was going to run for very long. And
that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
that was a long time
and this
ago.
isn't against HP Indigo, but the technology was so far behind at that point that in 6 months, 9 months, a year, the pieces of equipment were obsolete. I've had this piece of equipment in my shop now for 8 or 9 years, and it's still state of the art. So we're not in the bleeding edge area anymore on this piece of equipment. We may be in the,
were.
Yeah, but we were. I look at it as we were leading edge, not bleeding edge, and that's a testament to Screen and building a piece of equipment that will actually perform over the life that we expect. I mean, printers expect 15 years out of their piece of equipment minimum, and for us, we always thought, well, digital presses, they come in 3 years later, throw them out, put something else in. This thing is still running today, and it's doing everything that it did before, and it is still state of the art.
Okay, and they're still supporting it fully and all that.
Thank God.
So you alluded a little bit to the change in what you could offer with that. Tell us a little bit about some of the new markets and kind of how it helped to change your your company in general.
Yeah, that's once you get involved with Screen, and once you show your ability to be progressive, they bring you other things, other areas that you can start getting into. I mean, the Screen 350 press led to a 2500 large format press, which has now led to two more 3200s. So we not only have a screen plate setter that we use on our web press and our sheet fed press, we also have the 350, which is doing labels, and we have 3 large format machines from Screen. So they're a very progressive company, and they really allow you to expand the amount of work that you can do. The things we do today are nothing like what we did 10 years ago. And Screen they've been there for all those steps. I mean, you think, from our lithography all the way down to our large format, they've been a great supplier for us.
So you do it again?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thanks. And again, pick up some ideas and notes to talk to these guys about later on. Been some good stuff going up here. But I would like to move on to the last one. Let's get our last video of the session. Okay, Jim. Can you top those two so far?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but I will say the most important thing for us to do is not paint with last year's brush. And we talk about this all the time at my company, because people always look at what we've always done, and that's what they want to do. And the problem is that once you get into digital, it opens up so many different areas that you can try things. And it's very important that you say that, because literally our label press isn't just a label press. I mean, I'll print small folding cartons with it. I've got a rotary die cutter. Why not? I mean, these things are easy to do in the digital world. I mean, when I have a label come in, I just print one label and send it off to them. There's no better way to do a proof than print it to give them a proof of what they're going to get. The other thing I'd like to say is if it sits around your plant too long, try to print on it. I mean, it's amazing the things that we've done, whether it's printing on glass or plastics or whatever. But If it sits around too long and you're not printing on it, you're not doing digital the right, the right service.
So if I come to visit your plant,
You're going to get print on.
I'll probably come out with ink on my face.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I thank all four of you for being part of this. I think it was a well-received session here. I yield back 12 seconds to the head here. So, all right. So thank you guys very much.